Seriously fast. Ultra luxurious. And a monster price tag. For 70 years, BMW has produced some of the best cars in the world. Now, they're putting their reputation on the line, betting millions on a brand new sports car. For the first time ever, go behind the scenes where no one has gone before. From design studios in California to test tracks around the world. Inside the world's most secretive sports car building process. Buckle up. It's a very bumpy road, especially when it comes to testing. BMW's Research and Engineering Center in Munich, Germany. It's taken almost a year, but the design of the company's new sports car is complete. It's called the E63, and this is what it will look like, outside and in. The only car that exists at the moment, though, is made of clay, a demonstration model. Now, with the design finally frozen, a prototype is being constructed. It's made piece by piece, assembled by hand, and ready for its first test drive. It's the only way to tell if the car that so much is riding on is going to be any good. Chris Bangle is in charge of the design of the new sports car.
We make serious cars for real world, real people. You know, people who like to drive and they enjoy their cars and have to have a very high quality. It really only works if we put a look, a feel, an emotion around what is a really solid engineering basis.
Now, for the first time, an actual prototype will hit the roads. It's far from finished, but testing has to start. BMW doesn't want to let anyone outside the company get a good look at the car. As the prototype comes together, steps are taken to cover up its beauty. Black plastic is bolted to the body. The sharp edges are blunted. The design is hidden.
Alles, was später Chrom ist, wollen wir hier abgedeckt haben. Wichtig ist, dass hier die Bereiche, die Kühlluft
Camouflage is very important in the initial stage of testing. On the one hand, we naturally want a test car that is as close as possible to the final product. But we wouldn't like it at all if the competition or automotive journalists got too close a look and would know 2 or 3 years in advance what the car will look like.
Somewhere in the south of France, BMW's new sports car is about to hit the road. Bernie Meisner is a German engineer in charge of testing. He travels around the world driving cars. He's one of the first in the world to drive the new BMW. What he and other test drivers find will change the very design of the automobile.
The fantastic thing about the tests in France was that this was the very first time we had a vehicle you could actually drive. Not just some theoretical pictures projected on a wall or computer drawings. A real car, something that moves and really feels like a car.
At long last, the prototype takes off down a well-hidden test track. When the ride is over, the real work begins. The team measures the temperature of the oil, the transmission fluid, and the water. They quickly find their first problem. In one spot, the temperature is more than 130 degrees Celsius, dangerously hot. When all the checks are finished, the car will make its first trip out in the open road. The nearby mountains will push this prototype even harder. Water tanks simulate the weight of the passengers in the back seat. Then, the new sports car leaves the protection of the testing area.
Kommt auf einen zu.
You just drive out and it's a really fantastic feeling. I had goosebumps all up and down my spine. The weather, the car, the street, everything just seemed to fit together. It was very simply a perfect day.
Not completely perfect. As the car powers up one of the steep mountain climbs made famous by the Tour de France, something happens. An alarm suddenly goes off. The car pulls over. Immediately, two escorts protect the new car from curious eyes. The driver complains about the car's performance and the loud beeping. The temperature reading, though, is just 85 degrees.
Das ist beim ersten Prototypen normal.
Setting the measurement instruments for very sensitive levels is actually normal practice for the first prototypes. You need an early warning so that you don't damage the engine.
Oder Prototypenaggregate nicht zu schädigen.
They don't want to put the motor under too much of a strain, so the new car rolls gently downhill. But the handbrake doesn't hold. The test is stopped. The E63 limps back to the garage. The new sports car can't even make the trip down the hill on its own. It's a bad start to the testing, especially for a car that will eventually sell for $100,000. The handbrake can be fixed, but what other problems remain hidden?
It's clear this is the first time these components have been combined with each other, and it's the first time the vehicle has ever been on the road where all these components have to harmonize. Naturally, there are going to be problems, but that's why we're here. We'll report on the problems, and then the specialized departments will get to work on solutions for the next phase.
Back in Munich, the engineers are disappointed with the early results. Meisner admits that he can be very picky, but he insists that this is the time to make sure everything works.
We're never going to win any popularity contests. We're the ones who discover the mistakes and then point a finger at the people who have to fix it.
The overheating engine is the first serious challenge, but there will be a lot more in the coming days. The reluctant handbrake has already been dealt with. It's a must before the testing resumes. Meisner is deeply involved. He wants to take responsibility for getting things right. Far from the track, other more intensive tests are underway. Here, the wheels and axles are driven hard. A computer puts the pedal to the metal, simulating a ferocious run around the legendary German racecourse, the Nürburgring. The car takes more than 70 turns at breakneck speed. The disc brakes glow red hot. The car's tires show the terrible toll the simulation has taken. Other parts of the car are worked just as hard. All 6 gears are used for 2 weeks straight. Every gear, day and night, 320,000 times. The seat belts are also tested. A mechanical finger presses down 15,000 times, a year's worth of work in a couple of days. The roof of the convertible receives a lot of attention. At the push of a button, it must open or close in just 25 seconds. To achieve that speed, the folding system has to be reworked, and that requires more space. The engineers also need more room to store the textile roof. Once again, it's back to the drawing board. Using a simulation, they compare the new idea with the original. When they're satisfied, new hardware is made. Then, the changes in design are put to the test. This isn't the sort of bright sunny day the roof would be used in, but putting it up and down indoors will help show if there are any problems the simulation didn't catch. So far, so good, but the toughest tests are yet to come. It will cost you $100,000 to buy this new BMW sports car. But before the first one is ever sold, the company will spend many times that amount, destroying what it's built. These are the body parts of BMW's crash test dummies. Made of plastic and metal, each one of them costs more than the car itself. But their price tag won't stop the engineers from putting them in danger. Each one is a high-tech recording device. What happens to it now will help drivers and passengers survive almost any kind of accident. The dummies themselves get tested before the car does. They need to be in perfect shape for the moment. When they get a clean bill of health, the dummies are strapped in. High-speed cameras will record the horrifying crash that's to come. The doors have been removed to better see what's happening. Today, engineers are simulating a head-on collision where the passengers aren't wearing seatbelts. Before the test, each dummy is precisely positioned. Paint is brushed on. It helps show where the dummy hits the inside of the car. $100,000 for the car, almost $300,000 for the dummies. It's a lot of money to be driven into a wall. From the front to the side, the cars are destroyed over and over again. Each time results are examined and improvements are made. BMW has an enviable safety record, one that helps sell every model the company makes. It's a record that needs to be protected when the new sports car is sold. Back on the track, it's time to let the convertible shine. Today, the company is holding a mini focus group. A few lucky employees will get a chance to test drive the new car. The engineers who are building